Okay. Okay, we should be good to go. All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome, welcome. If you are watching the replay, comment replay. But if you are catching us live, say hello. Let us know where you are. We're just waiting for this to fully load. Make sure we can see comments. So definitely comment if you're watching. I see 3 of you on, but it will just need to make sure that we see comments. Thank you, Kelly. Good morning. Okay, good. So we can go ahead and get started, Laura. Today we're talking contracts and contingencies, and I'm going to give you the last of what common mistakes. I did a live on Tuesday, so you need to go back and check for that live. I did the first common mistakes, first half of common mistakes that we do, and then the second half I'm going to do today after we do our presentation on everything. All right, Laura, go ahead.
Hey, okay, so what we want to talk about as far as contracts, the main thing I want to say is this: keep it as simple as possible, okay? So even if I am licensed, I like to go ahead and use a personal contract. A lot of time when you go through license contract, from your board, they have these 10 to 15 pages in fine print. And even I was licensed for over 20 years. And I always use my personal contract as much as I could. Now, there are some situations where you have to use the standard contract. If you're dealing with a bank, for example, an REO, they want to do that. Or if you're dealing with an agent, they want to do that. But if you're not an agent, you're not supposed to use it. They can use it, but not you. So be very careful about that. At the end of the day, keeping a contract as simple as possible is the best thing, because it gets the owner to question less instead of feeling like there is something hidden in the fine print that can put them in trouble. So with that said, you want to keep the contract. There's a few elements in a contract that have to be there. A contract, for the matter, could be on a paper napkin, and it still would be a binding contract. So with that said, you have to have the date or when the contract is written. You have to have the closing date, but when the contract has to be executed, your address of the property, monetary consideration, even $10, or it can even be something of value. It doesn't even have to be money, and the signatures of all parties. That's it. Those are the most important things on the contract. Now, obviously, you want to also put the price, what your offer price is, and 1 or 2 contingencies that are crucial and kind of very clever for whatever situation. Now, we have about a handful of contingencies, about 6 contingencies. We don't use them all. We use only 1 or 2, depending on the situation. And I believe earlier in the week, right, Liz, we did share the...
Yeah, I have it pulled up.
Okay, so if anybody wants to see what they are, what should they do?
Well, we'll pull it up now and show you it, but if you want the download so you have it for your records, then you need to go to the post that states the PDF, and we will make sure that you get that PDF.
Okay, so you want to go ahead and explain the contingencies?
Yeah, let's share our screen. Are you able to see it okay?
Yeah, I am.
All right. I'll do the first one, you do the second one, because that's more of a you. But
Okay.
with that being said, this is the one that I use on every single contract, okay? This is my, if I need to get out of town card, depending on what's going on. So one of the contingencies, we're going to give you 2. We have about 7 contingencies that we use, but we only pick 1 or 2 to put on our contract. This is the one I use every time. This is your loophole to get out if you cannot find a buyer, or if you're doing buy and hold or fix and flip. If you do inspections, you can use that, right? Contingent on an inspection report within 5 days, 10 days, or 21. But as a wholesaler, this is the one I use. Now, I want to make this very clear. I never back out of contracts. I will go back and renegotiate. I will go and do what I need to do, but I do not go on planning to use this. This is just in case I cannot absolutely find a buyer. Do not make that a habit. That's how wholesalers get bad names, okay? So with that being said, we do contingent on business partner or private lender approval within 21 business days of accepted sales contract. This gives me a few weeks to find a buyer in place. This is your loophole, because if you do an inspection contingency, then they're going to want to see the inspection report. But as a wholesaler, I'm not inspecting the property, I'm selling as is. So this is what I use. Laura, would you like to elaborate a little more on that?
No, that was very good.
Okay,
Yeah, keep it
So-
simple, guys. At
yes,
the end of the day, you just use this contingency for everything. You don't have to put any other contingency. Just this one. This one is enough to protect you and give you a loophole if you need to.
awesome. So now what we're going to do is we're going to zoom out and go down to the second one. Now I have Laura explain this because this is a little bit more complicated of a session or of a contingency. So I let her kind of explain as she does it best.
Okay, thank you. So let me give you a little bit of a history behind this one. So I started investing back in the 80s when we were in Hawaii. Actually, I started real estate as a real estate agent in Hawaii back in the 80s. And one of the things that was happening at the end of the 80s is pretty much what happened here over the last couple of years, where real estate basically went through the roof. Overnight, prices doubled in a lot of places on the islands. So with that said, nothing really made it on the MLS. Okay, it was pretty much if you knew a property was going to go on the market, it was selling house in the same office. And so with that said, a lot of the sellers did not want to really accept the first offer that would come out there because they knew there probably would be a bidding war of offers coming in. So we started using this particular contingency. So this is gold right here. And it says seller reserves the right to keep the property on the market and accepts the contract as a contingent offer. In the event a seller receives another acceptable offer, he will provide the buyer herein a 72-hour right of first refusal notice to perform. So basically, unless the seller keep their foot in two shoes, right? Because they get your contract, but then again, they can accept another contract. And the contract technically is a backup offer. However, with that, it's not just a backup offer. They have the right to tell you, okay, based on this contingency that we have, I'm giving you 72 hours to decide that your contract is good. We're going to closing as we agreed. You don't have to change the closing date. You can go with a closing date you had agreed on the original contract. Or if you want to back away, I'm going to take this other contract. That's what this says. So this works very well in situations where the seller maybe is hesitating in signing because he's going to try to see if he can get a better offer somewhere. Or a situation where you don't want to put earnest money down and seller says, I'm not going to tie this property for only $10. Well, just give me the chance here. And if you do get another contract, let me know and I'll back away. Now, the only thing I say also to the seller is a full transparency. If he gets another contract, you would like to see the other contract, and obviously you're not going to tell him the reason, but you want to make sure he's not bluffing, right? Just tell him for full transparency, please, if you do get another contract, I would like to see the other contract so I see what I'm up against. Okay, full transparency, because you don't want him to be bluffing and saying that he has another contract when he doesn't, to make sure you're going to go ahead and move forward. Okay, but this is gold right here. So at the end of the day, you want to have a simple contract, 1 to 2 pages long. The contract that we actually use and the one that we share with the students, I've used the contract for over 30 years. And over the years, I have tweaked the contract to reflect things that I'm doing, changes on how people perceive that. So for example, I have clauses in there to protect us if somebody tries to go around us and go to the seller. I'm sure that's a lot of what you guys think, right? You have a So what if, a lot of people happen? People nowadays don't have a lot of time of the loyalty that they used to have. And so they have no problem breaking a contract and going around you, right? So, but we do have clauses to protect that. We do have clauses that allow us to do certain things to the property, especially important for wholesaling, because you want to have the right to get into the property and market the property. We have contingencies on additional earnest money, if that's one of the requests. So we have pretty much to cover every single situation. But the thing is, like I said, be very clever with it. Use only one or two as needed. We shared a couple of you today. And that's it. Make your contract very light, very good. It doesn't have to be heavy for you to do the deal.
Awesome. So now we're going to open up for a Q&A. While we do the Q&A, I'm going to do two things. I'm going to announce our raffle winner of the week, and I'm going to go over the second half of the common mistakes. Now with the Q&A, just a reminder, we only allow one question per person. I will not read second questions or anything that it's to be fair to our paying students, but we do open this up once a week, every Thursday at 11 a.m. Eastern. So with that being said, we'll go into a Q&A. We'll talk about some upcoming fun things we have going on in the REIW group, all of that. So let's move into the second half of common mistakes that investors make when it comes to contracts. If you need the first, again, I did that live on Tuesday. You can go look for it in the group. So number 4, or I think this would be number 5 because I moved one up, is discover their real issue. Why are they selling? Don't get surface level answers. You really have to go deep when, how, and why they want to sell. If you do not have that, you getting things under contract and not understanding their real motivation for selling is going to be very complicated. You're going to be trying to chase them down to sign. You're going to be trying to do all of that, which leads into my next one is create urgency to sign. Say, hey, I need to close on this property in 30 days. So what can we do to get this signed? If you want cash in 30 days from now, you need to reach out to me and get this contract signed so I can get things in place to make sure that this goes smoothly. I usually tell them that I do 1 to 2 properties a month. And so I need to get these signed as quick as possible because that is what I can take workload wise. Then you want to, after that, go through the contract with them. This is such a huge mistake. Investors forget, especially as they become more and more, experienced. They forget that these sellers 9 times out of 10 are terrified of contracts. Like I stated on Tuesday, they don't take the time to sit there and read the contract with them. These people are not used to reading contracts. There is fine print, even if it's 2 pages like ours, they get intimidated. So if they don't understand one word or an abbreviation, they will not move forward. They will stall, they will procrastinate, they'll have lawyers look it over, agents look it over. It will be a lot more complicated for you. So guide them and be there with them and just make it simple when explaining. Just break it down. If they're like, what does this mean? What does that mean? When I ask, do you have any questions about the contract? That kind of stuff. Let them. And that's why it's really important. And our students get training on our contract of every paragraph and what those paragraphs mean. So that when sellers ask what they mean, if you're using an agent contract, it's extensively long. So you need to know what everything means so that when the sellers are asking you about contracts, they understand that. So just remember that this contract, they don't. And you have to act as if you're brand new and do as much as of the intention as you did as a new investor, as just as much as after hundreds of contracts. Help them understand they're new to this. And even though you will not be, this also helps bypass asking for an attorney. Then last but not least is just keeping it simple. Keep it simple when talking to them about contracts. Contracts are going to be your hardest part. They're going to negotiate. They're going to be talking about things. And so keep it very simple with them so they feel comfortable moving forward. I hope that all makes sense. I'm not seeing any comments come through. So I hope that is some good advice that you guys agree with that. And like I said, Tuesday, think of you when you're signing things. Wouldn't you like someone to sit down with you and explain what everything means? I mean, they do that even for simple signups at like stores. They're like, this is what this paragraph means. Go ahead and sign. And so you need to do that as well. Now, as we do that, I'm going to do our raffle. Our raffle is for a free game plan session with Laura and myself. This is a 30-minute session that we are raffling off. Okay, this is a $500 value that we are raffling off absolutely free. And how to have qualified for this was you had to comment on the post where I had like the magic wand going. And so you had to comment on the post for that to qualify. And I did put that in that post. So the winner is going to get the free game plan session. You just email us at questions@realestateinvestingwomen.com. And that is Debbie Romero. So congratulations, Debbie. You get to meet with Laura and myself on a one-on-one game plan session, and we will get you going. So thank you for that. Congratulations. All right, Laura, you ready for Q&A?
Yeah.
Okay, we have one question that came through. How do I compete with most Atlanta investors that offer to close in 7 to 10 days or as quickly as title is in versus 21 days for due diligence and possibly a 30-day closing?
Well, first of all, things are really changing right now. So you're going to see that that's not really the norm anymore. Investors are backing away from overpaying on property. That means they also are not gonna, they're not gonna give them really high. They're gonna go for 60 to 70 cents on the dollar. Yes, they can close fast, but they're also gonna offer a lot lower than you as a wholesaler would, which brings me back to another point. Don't use the 70% rule. Any investors out there, please stay away from that, okay? It's going to be hard for you to do any deals. And, you know, and your goal as a wholesaler should be to make about 10K per deal. So if you use the 70% rule on properties that are worth $200,000, $300,000, $400,000, that's a discount that you're asking the seller to take of anywhere from $60,000 to $100,000 off of the ARV. So that will already put you in a disadvantaged position. Now, these other investors that come in and are willing to pay, you know, close 7 to 10 days, they're going to offer very low. For the same reason, the hedge funds buyers also offer very low. Okay. So if somebody comes in and said, yeah, they can close in 10 days, but they're going to offer 60, 70 cents on the dollar, but you come in and are willing to pay 80% or more on the dollar, even if it takes 4 weeks, you're going to get the upper end. Unless the seller is in a situation where there is a foreclosure in next week or something really drastic looming very close to it, they are going to go for the higher offer, even if it takes a little longer.
Yep. Great. And then Sonia just commented, she said, great advice. I lost an amazing deal over a complicated contract. This happens a lot. And that's why it's really, really important you watch and you explain and you help the sellers in every way possible. Any other questions while you got us? In the meantime, Laura, do you want to talk about our meeting of the minds?
Yes. Okay. So what we have actually next week, and Liz is going to post a link here, is we call this the meeting of the minds, and we do this once in a while. And basically is offering you the possibility to see what it will be, first of all, to work with us as far as helping you to really get going. We're also going to share with you some really good knowledge into time management, how to organize your business, how to clear what your goals are, you know, get to total clarity. And also we're going to share with you a roadmap of what it's going to take for you to close a first deal. And then from that, to build the business and then to exponentially grow. And all that is going to be broken down by steps and also giving a clear roadmap. And like I said, at the end of the call or the workshop, we also going to offer you the possibility to work with us, and then you can schedule a call further to see how we can help you. So Liz is going to post here the link here in a second. Now, if you don't want to wait for the workshop or the webinar, you want to talk to us, go ahead and message Liz, and she can go ahead and get you on a call to see how about our program. Now, we have enhanced our program. You will, just to give you an idea, you will be talking to us about 14 to 16 times a month. Now, you don't have to be on all the calls. You don't have to talk to us every single time, but we're going to be available for you guys to be with us and our coaches 14 to 16 times a month. I have not seen any other type of coaching program with this level of support, with this level of being able to reach people because you need the help. So you're never more than 1 or 2 days away from the next call for anything you need. Okay, so keep that in mind. Ton of support, ton of training. We also just implemented mastermind sessions where every 2 weeks you work with the students and we monitor for you to work in helping each other in a classroom environment, all done via Zoom. And also we have live events where you meet us in person. Every 6 weeks, you can come to meet us in person. So we have a lot of great features. It's not just the training, because I know a lot of you think at the end of the day, I can go on YouTube, I can go Bigger Pockets. Yes, that's just generic information. It's not going to really help you to get your game plan going and set you up for success. So keep that in mind, that we do offer, hands-on help for you to break through. And that's why we were going to offer this workshop next week called Meeting of the Minds. First of all, to help you with some great tools and information. And then if we are a fit, we can explore forward how it's going to be by scheduling a call.
Great. Well, I didn't see any more questions come through, so we are going to go ahead and jump off. I hope this was incredibly helpful for you. Definitely leave us some feedback in the chat. We do ask us anything every Thursday. We allow one. Now, if you're a student, you get unlimited questions, but unfortunately, through this group, we allow one per person. And so if you ever think of questions that you need help with and you're not a student yet, this is the live to get on. You can also ask in the group and get help from everyone else in the group. We have an amazing community of over 9,000 women in this group. So there's plenty of opportunities for help, but as well as that, you just ask us on Thursdays. We're here every Thursday, 11 a.m. Eastern. We also go live pretty much every day during the week. That is our goal, unless, lovely things come up. So other than that, we thank you for taking the time to be with us today, those of you that got on, and we will see you tomorrow on our live tomorrow. Bye, everybody.
Hey, take care. Bye-bye.